Bem, dando sequência, convido agora o capitão Herman Luckert, capitão de longo curso desde 1987. Luckert é prático do canal de Kiel e do Báltico Ocidental desde 1993. Presidente da Associação de Práticos do Canal de Kiel e Báltico Ocidental desde 2005. Presidente da Associação Alemã de Práticos e atual vice-presidente da Associação Internacional de Práticos, IMPA. Ele falará sobre a experiência alemã de praticagem.
So just look to my gray hair. No doubt I'm the oldest. Okay, first of all, a great thank you, and it's a big honor for me, ladies and gentlemen, to be invited here to have this small speech. Special thanks to Ottavio, to myself, and especially to you. Thank you very much for that. So, which should I use? Oh, this one. I would like to tell something about the German pilot system and a small view to the European pilot systems we have over there. And first of all, I would like to make a step to the past, to the history. There are different nations in Europe. We have different languages, and therefore we're talking about Loadsman, Russian, Loadsman, Swedish, Piloto, for example. In former times, the ship's owners, a couple of centuries ago, especially in the Mediterranean area, when they own ships and they would like to be a master on a ship, but without any knowledge. So they engage some people who have the knowledge to lead a ship, and this man in former times called Piloto. So I think the first confidential relationship between ship's owners and pilots. So the first time you find some piloted or piloted regulation was during the Hanseatic time. The 14th century, local fishermen act as sea pilots. Then 200 years later, the Hamburg pilotage rules was exist, but one word to the Hanseatics. There's a joke today also to the Hanseatic and citizens and traders and merchants. They say the Hanseatic should sell their grandma, and the Hamburgs, also Hanseatic, they deliver. And just for your information, Hamburg Süd is established in Hamburg. Okay, the first pilot station established in the Baltic coast, close to Kiel. At that time, the Kiel Canal wasn't exist. I'm a Kiel Canal pilot, and that was the first station under governmental supervision. And the first German Federation was founded in 1919, just after the First World War, and there was established a couple of different pilot associations at that time. So there are some very important sentences. For example, the poet Joseph Conrad says, pilots are the personified reliability. And above you see dropping the pilot, that is the dismissal of the Chancellor Otto von Bismarck. So it is not Germany if everything is regulated by law and by some acts. But there's one act I'm very proud of. This is the German Pilot Act. It was established in 1954, and it describes everything what has to do with this pilotage. Pilot areas, you see here a map very clearly. We have 7 different pilot areas, but everywhere under the same regulations. We have at the western part, close to the border of the Netherlands, the River Ems. Then we have River Weser. We have the River Elbe, the port of Hamburg. Then the Kiel Canal, eastern part, western part, and then the Baltics. And at all, we are approximately 900 pilots in all the areas. And the Pilot Act also describes how to educate. It describes the income, the working times, the supervision, boarding system, liability, quality management, organization, and administration. Everything is really described by the Pilot Act. Now have a look to the German pilotage at all. You see, at 2008, we have over 200,000 pilotage in Germany, and then the financial crisis came down, and now at the end of 2012, we are close to the 2006 again. So what about education, advanced training? At least those who would like to become a pilot has to pass the public school with the graduation. Then he has to go at least 2 years on sea as an apprentice, and then go to navigation school and finish there with the STCW, a bachelor. At least they need a bachelor. And then they have to go on sea again for 3 years experience. And after that, they can go to the pilots. The War and Shipping Administration will look to all the requirements, whether they are fulfilled or not. And then they have another 8-month education at some special pilot area, and then an examination, and then another 3 years. He starts as a junior pilot, and after 3 years, after have a pilotage to ship limits, then he will be the senior pilots at least. So it's a long, long way, and now we have some problems to find young men and women to become a pilot. So we just start to discuss a new system, but it takes another 2 years maybe to establish such a new system. Now here you can compare the number of pilots and the number of pilots. You recognize the year 2008. We have a lot of number of pilots and less number of pilots and a lot of pilotage, and then exactly the opposite way. This crisis was good for the pilots due to we have making a lot of overtimes. We have a lack of at least 40% of pilots, of number of pilots. So it was quite good for us to think about your own life, to relax a little bit. It was a very, very hard time before the crisis for us, really. So another described thing by the pilot boarding system. In former times it was a governmental part, but it was the governmental part very expensive. So the government passed it over to Bundeslotsenkammer, that's me. And the Bundeslotsenkammer in the year 1964 established a company called Losbetriebsverein. And in this Losbetriebsverein, he's confidential responsible for all pilot transport. And in this Losbetriebsverein, we employed 450 employees. And our yearly budget is 60 million a year. And the system is that all the equipment, all the pilot cutters, the boats and the pilot standing belongs to the government property, but the whole maintenance belongs to us. So this is a quite good running system. The pilots also sit in the driver's seat at the boarding system and transport system. We use different kinds. We use helicopters, and on this picture you see the SWAT technology. It's a brand new system. It's a very good but very expensive system. Now we're coming to the quality management. That's the most important thing in Germany. We have a system, the pilot associations and the government supervision are both responsible for that. The pilot association has to investigate and make safety training on a regular basis, accident analysis, new development, and then they have the burden of proof to, according to paragraph 26 to the German Pilot Act. And the supervision of the government will parallel working in that, especially the vessel traffic service system. But we have a problem sometimes. The single pilot has to report all the time to the Water and Shipping Administration. But the advice from us is first contact us, first to report to the alderman or to the lawyers, and then after that going to the authority and report there. So the legal supervision is a central question in Germany. All 7 German pilotage have the same legal supervision from the Water and Shipping Administration. It's we think it's very important that you have a common system in the whole nations. So where the money coming from? There's a pilot fees. It's paid by ship, every ship over 300 gross tonnage, and it's collected by the administration. And first, we take the money for pilot transport, this 60 million a year, then distribute to each pilot association, and then reduce the cost of self-administration, and the rest will send to each pilot in equal parts. So the last communism system in whole Europe, I think. How they find the tariff? Each year we have a discussion with the Minister of Transport. The Minister of Transport set the pilot tariffs, and each year we have a discussion about that. But the contract is, the agreement is that the pilot income will increase due to the average increase of German employee income. That is the agreement. And we have to make special talks if we want to have special things, for example, establish PPU system or something like that. So the whole IMO resolution 8960 is implemented to the piloting. So according to that regulation, all the German pilots do the advanced training. We have a special problem due to the ship size. For example, these are some views from this is the Kiel lock, for example, and the size of the ships using Kiel Canal, for example, here, just growing up. If you see on the River Weser and the River Hamburg, it's increased since the last 5 years about 8,000 gross tonnage. In Kiel Canal, it's approximately 2,000 gross tonnage. So we have to make a special training to the pilots in the simulator that they can handle with such big ships. Now let's have a small view to Europe. Europe, in general, is a problem due to the different nations. We are 26 members right now. 2 weeks ago, the last new member was Croatia. So 26 nations, and every nation had different development during the past. The main problem due to pilotage is the different system of pilotage. We see here, for example, the pilot self-employed, for example, Germany, France, the Netherlands, pilot employed by ports or supervision by ports in the UK, pilot employed by government as Belgium, Norway, Denmark. The most of the European pilots are employed by governments. The main problem I mentioned already is that during the last 20 years after this Iron Curtain fell down, it was that most of the new members of European Union coming from the former communist part of Europe. And in Europe we are close to 5,000 pilots at all. And the problem to the system is that in East Europe they have an absolutely regulated way. And therefore, the EU commitment is coming from that nations who like to have big regulation at all. And this is the problem. There are a lot of areas which is dangerous to be absolutely deregulated. Pilotage in Europe is one of them. It should be regulated. The system is in the institution in Europe we have the European Commission, we have the European Council, and we have the European Parliament. And now the way is that the European Commission, the Commissioner for DG Move is coming from Estonia, makes some proposals, and it goes to the Council, that are all the Prime Minister or Minister Presidents of each member state, and then going to the European Parliament. And the thing is that Mr. Kallas, for example, make a proposal to deregulate it totally, and to establish a competition system and so on. And but we know, that is our experience in West Europe, that we cannot deal with it. Pilotage should be a strict regulated system. And it's like competition. It's like if you compare it with a fire brigade. There's a fire, and you have not the time to maybe call offer. You just have to ring one number, and then it should be running. That is so. It's a big mistake. And the German position is very clear. That's not only my position; it's the position of the German Parliament. We are for a regulated pilot system. We are against competition, and we need a pilot compulsory in all the ports. And it is absolutely unbelievable for Germany that the order comes from Brussel. What we have to do in the German waters, for example. Therefore, we are very strictly against the proposal of Mr. Kallas, but we are just in the middle of the discussion. And Mr. Kallas the European Union will make some proposal during the summer, and I'm rather optimistic that we can defend pilotage and we can establish a regulated system in Europe. But it's a big problem for us. But I think we will do that, and if we are together, we will be strong, and then we will be successful also in Brussels. That is our main option. Okay, that's it. If you have any questions, thank you very much for your attention.